want addresses and phone numbers
Okay,
for everybody.
yeah,
Does that make sense?
yeah,
And, yeah.
okay, I'll
Okay.
take those, we'll take those back and, now, a couple of questions for you.
Yeah.
Because I just went through this with a friend that died and nobody could find her will, and she had a will.
Okay.
Okay, so if nobody knows where the wills are, is there a way to register them or to have a copy
You know,
digital?
the best thing to do with original estate planning documents is to put them in a safe deposit box
Okay,
and to have your named agent or agents on the box with you. Now that means you gotta go into the bank together to sign on it. Do you have a box now?
mm-mm.
No? Do you have a good fireproof safe at home?
No.
No. Where do you bank?
Well, we used to have a box at Happel, but we finally dropped it. We weren't using it anymore.
Yeah, I'd
So
recommend
maybe we
you go
should
into,
pick that
if you
up
bank at
again.
Hapo still, I'd recommend you go into Hapo. You can get I'm just gonna, here's a stack of copies. You wanna use the originals though.
Okay,
But you can get one of those little bitty boxes and you can roll the
Just
originals
roll
up
them.
and shove
Oh,
them
yeah.
in one of the small, you don't need to pay them for a big huge drawer,
Oh, yeah.
okay?
okay,
But
That's
yeah,
good.
you should keep the originals in there and then have at least Lindy on the box so she can get in the box without you. Not so she can go steal the documents, but if something happens to you, she needs to get at the originals.
I understand, yeah.
And
They had a key and we had a key. You had to have
Yep.
both keys.
correct,
in the
that's how
box.
they do it. And if your son comes down, he's on the west side.
Mhm.
If he
Yep.
comes into town, you don't have to, but you could go in with him. He
Yeah.
could go into Hapo with you, and he could sign. You could add him as well.
Right.
So you got two on the box.
Okay.
Okay.
okay,
Right.
But that's the best place to keep the
Okay,
originals
okay.
because the formalities of going in and signing for it, you're unlikely to forget to put them back.
uh-huh,
You're unlikely if you have them in one of those little fire boxes at home.
yeah,
Not sure those are truly fire safe, or the paper's gonna blacken if you get in a big fire. If you pull those out, you might not put them back.
yeah,
And then the other thing is, not accusing you or suggesting your family would ever have this problem, but I got other folks who their documents went missing because someone had sticky fingers.
oh,
They didn't
Oh.
like what the document said, and so
Yeah.
they borrowed the originals and never gave them back.
okay,
Oh, how
And so in the safe deposit box, they're protected there.
Okay.
that's a good idea.
We don't generally do anything with them unless you pass away, then we need the original will to file with the court.
Okay,
And then if you guys become incapacitated and the kids are gonna be managing your finances, it's probably a good idea to consider recording the original, at least the original estate power of attorney with the county auditor. If you need help doing that, we can help you do that.
mm-hmm,
But that will preserve it for, in case you lose the original.
Oh.
Because you need the original of these documents.
okay,
Copies are not, they
So I have
they
an
could get the
original.
job done, but are not guaranteed to get the job
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
So in this
The
envelope
originals
is
are in the
original?
envelope, correct, and the rest are 4 sets of copies,
Okay.
okay? So that's the recommendation, is that you use a safe deposit box, put Lindy on there and maybe Scott on there if he comes to town and you have a chance to go down there with him. So you got 2 people who can get in the box without you if they need to, cause they need to get those original documents for
Okay.
you. And then take care of the originals. That's why you got the copies. If you need to see what it says, here's a copy,
yeah,
okay? And you don't need the
That's
originals
super.
until you need it. But
Yeah.
yeah, if you're gonna be using that financial power of attorney on a regular basis, let's get it recorded then. The reason I don't just record it as a matter of course is because they keep adding fees on.
oh,
And if we record it and then we have to make a change to it, then I have to record the new one. And now
Oh,
it costs you about $210 to record each of those right now.
Oh.
okay,
And so if we make changes for some reason, anyway, so that's why we don't always just record them. You
Okay.
could,
uh-huh,
but understanding if we make any changes, then you gotta go record the new one, okay?
okay.
Okay. Appreciate that.
All right,
Diane, I got a couple more questions.
go ahead.
Because, so I'm overhearing that the power of attorney now, Scott and I are co-agents.
That's correct.
Can you explain what that means?
That means each of you have authority to act on behalf of mom and dad.
but
You
they don't have to do it
sign
together?
things together. You can, but you don't have to,
Okay,
okay? So if he's not available and you're there, you can take care of
okay.
business.
So if
If
I
you-
wanna defer because I'm busy, I can say, Scott, can you take care of this?
Correct.
Done.
That's what they wanted you to be able to do,
Yeah, perfect.
okay?
Okay, and then the,
And it's also, it's also nice because, it's a greater ability for the family to be involved and share information.
right, that's
Okay,
good.
and communication about what's going on with mom and dad is going to be your best friend if and when you start taking a more active role in doing things for them, because the last thing you want to have is a dispute with any of the siblings because they don't know what's going on, or they think they know what's going on and they're wrong.
Mhm.
And so communication is very important in that regard. Okay,
And then the executor of the will is who?
same thing,
What? Lindy and Scott?
Lindy and Scott together.
Okay, that's
Okay.
fine.
Now that one's different because of the
Okay.
formalities of probate. You can't have independent authority. You're gonna need to act together on that,
Okay,
okay?
that sounds good.
But for many, many things, you'll be able to share the work.
Okay,
There's just a few things that you'll need to sign together. If you're gonna sell the house, you'll both need to sign the deed.
okay,
That sort of thing, like very formal legal documents, you'll both have to sign.
okay,
But other stuff, you can share the workload.
okay. And
Okay.
then could you summarize what is a power of attorney through this document?
Yeah, a power of attorney is the document by which someone appoints an agent to act on their behalf. So, Washington law used to use the term attorney in fact to describe the person who is acting on behalf of someone else. In 2017, we revamped our power of attorney law, and now we have what's known as a uniform law. And there's a bunch of states that have virtually identical power of attorney laws. So your powers of attorney now will be, if you travel out of town, they would be recognized. But the document is the power of attorney, and the person who's going to do things for you on your behalf is your agent.
Okay,
And you are the principal. And so you have two for each of you. One is, we call it an estate, and that's for management of your financial estate. That's to pay bills and handle financial transactions and that sort of thing. The other one is health care. You don't need to give all the financial jargon to your doctor's office.
Right.
Okay, and the healthcare agent will be make medical decisions for you. If you can't, the doctor will never look to Lindy or Scott if you can make the decision
Okay.
yourself.
Okay,
And then also management and care of your person if you can't do that yourself. That's hire a caregiver for you if you need one. If you can't stay at home anymore and need to transition to a care facility, then your healthcare agent will be the one who interfaces with the facility and manages your care.
okay.
Okay?
Great.
Does
One
that
more-
answer the question?
yep, and then one more question
Yes.
is, what is the purpose of the special needs trust in their wills?
The purpose of the special needs trust is to try to preserve assets and protect assets so they don't need to be spent down, and potentially enable the survivor to qualify for Medicaid earlier,
Okay,
if it should come to that.
so it basically is keeping the estates separate so that the last person standing has a smaller estate that the government would consider,
Available to spend on care.
okay.
That's
And the
right.
special needs trust is
Yeah,
a shelter.
and so what's gonna, that's gonna be, right now, your house is in both of your names, correct?
Yeah,
Right,
Yeah, and so if one of you passes away, half of the house would go into the trust, and the other half would belong to the survivor. Now, if you've got financial assets that you're jointly owning, those are automatically gonna go to the survivor. They're not gonna go into that trust,
Okay,
okay? Now, if something were to happen to one of you, and we know you're gonna need long-term care, your powers of attorney will enable us to maybe transfer assets or change that.
okay.
Okay? And so that's what you've got, is you kind of got a wait and see approach now. You've got the wills drafted, and we got the good powers of attorney so that we can take care of things and move things around if we need to.
and there was something that you had said in our original meeting about giving the power of the agents,
Yeah.
gifting authority,
Yeah.
and explain what that means again.
Well, that's technically a gift. So what we've done in some instances, if you have a heart attack and you're on your deathbed, but you are going to need long-term care soon because you're losing your marbles. Let's just say that's what was happening. Okay? If we put everything in your name and then your heart gives out and you die, it all goes into the special needs trust for you.
Okay,
Now we've protected the entire combined assets from
Okay.
needing to be spent down on long-term care, and you'd be eligible for Medicaid, and the state would pick up the tab for your long-term care.
Oh.
Okay? Now, in order to move assets around between the two of you, that power of attorney needs to give Lindy and Scott gifting authority over your assets. And that's
not
what's in
says
there.
anything here? That
It's
says
in there, if I may.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, that's in the estate power of attorney. It's in paragraph 3M. And that's right here. It's on page 7. The agent is authorized to make gifts
Thanks for your
that are
help.
substantially consistent with the
Absolutely,
estate
you're
plan.
okay.
Such gifts
You
may
can-
include gifts consistent with a prior pattern of gifting, gifts to avoid taxes, gifts to qualify for public benefits, and gifts to avoid estate recovery on the death of the principal. So
Okay.
you've got some gifting authority in there,
and,
okay?
and that would be to take the person on their deathbed and, the gift would be from, let's say dad's dying, from mom to dad. Then when dad dies, it goes to a special needs trust.
Correct.
Gotcha, I got it.
You've got it.
And then,
And so that, that's a situation that it doesn't always come up. My mom died all of a sudden, just like that, no advance notice. So there would have been, it didn't apply to her, but if it had, in that situation, there's nothing we could have done
yeah,
to take advantage of anything. It's really gonna be more of a situation where, you're doing some advanced planning, and we're looking at things and saying, man, this isn't looking good for dad, or this isn't looking good for mom, maybe we need to think about doing something.
okay, and then
Okay.
that would be at that point,
Yes,
if one is still capable of making their own decisions,
yes,
well, dad would be dying, but let's say he's still got his mental capacity,
yeah.
but he's within 3 days of going. Would dad,
He could do that
Make
himself
the
if he
gift?
wanted to. He
so dad could
yes.
even make the gift,
He could
and
do it himself.
what's involved in doing the gifting? Do
Well,
we come to
the big
you?
part's the house, and it's a
Yeah.
real property deed for the house.
Uh-huh,
That's what it would take. We would have to have a deed signed before you died. We don't have to get it down and recorded before you die, but it has to
Okay.
be signed and your signature notarized.
okay,
And so that's either going to be you doing that on your own,
Okay.
or Scott. If we're doing that, my preference would be have both Scott and Lindy sign it. But if Scott's over on the west side and we can't get him, his name on it yet, then we just have Lindy sign it for us.
so I need to go get a copy of their deed? Or
Um,
they have a copy of their deed,
How long
it's
have
paid
you had
for.
your house?
It's owned
For-
outright. How long what year you move in?
I
Well,
think we've had it for
was-
about 30-some years.
I was gonna say, is it before
Yeah.
1985 or after?
Well, I got
1985?
married in 85, October of 85, and they were still living on Garfield.
So it's after 85. So that deed is gonna be available online. I could go right
Oh.
now and in 30 seconds pull it up on my computer.
Okay,
And so with that, with the deed in hand, we can draft a deed pretty quickly.
should we just do it now?
We can.
Let's
I
do
can
it.
draft it and leave it in the file. So
Let's do it.
Okay, we'll do that. Then.
Yeah,
I'll
okay.
draft it and leave it in the file, and
Then I would come back and
yep,
sign it?
call me up, and
Okay,
it's got to be notarized. Your signature's got to be notarized on it.
okay.
So, yeah.
And can Sarah notarize? I
Yep,
mean,
Sarah
okay,
can, I can, and we've got one more here.
okay,
So yeah, so what
Just look at the
what we'll do is we'll draft. I'm going to draft it, assuming you are going to sign it.
mm.
Okay.
But Scott could if I were out of
Scott could.
town.
We just change the name real quickly.
Gotcha.
If Scott were in town and you weren't available.
Okay, and then that deed then, what are we doing with that deed?
Well, it'll get recorded with the county auditor. And what it'll
Okay.
be is it's a gift from one to the other. So I'll have two versions of it.
Ready
one
to
from mom
go.
to dad and one from dad to mom.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
So we would need to be in communication with you to make the gift.
Correct.
You would do that.
Correct.
Okay, that's
Well,
a,
no, you're going to make the gift. I'm going to facilitate the documents.
okay, yeah, but I
Okay.
understand, yeah.
It'll be
Okay,
you acting as agent,
yes,
not me.
yeah,
They didn't give me that kind of authority in the documents. I tried.
okay,
We're going to put me on everything.
yeah. All right, well, don't move out of town. We need
No,
you.
we're not moving out of town. Take
Okay.
care.
Yeah,
You're okay.